Rick, please just let us know once we're on. Thank you. Oh, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. This is a regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Montclair and is being broadcast live on Channel 34 and is streaming live on the Montclair TV 34 YouTube channel. It's available on demand, can and will be rebroadcast. Right now, if everyone will please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock.
Tony, mute yourself.
Present.
Councilor Cummings. Councilor Cummings.
Present.
Councilor Russo.
Present.
Councilor Schlager. Councilor Jacobellis.
Present.
Thank you.
Councilor Price Abrams is here as well.
Councilor Price Abrams, sorry about that.
I am present. Thank you.
All right. I believe Councilwoman Schlager is joining us via phone as well, so we'll make sure her connection is in. We'll check on that in just a moment. In an effort to minimize exposure to COVID-19 and to maintain social distancing practices, this July 21st Township Council meeting and further meetings until the pandemic is over will be available to the public remotely. Those who wish to participate now during public comment should dial in to 415-655-0002. When asked to enter an access code, please enter 135-443-3540, then press pound. When asked to enter an attendee number, simply press pound. When asked to state your name, please state your name and then press pound. The administrator will let you know when it's your turn to speak, and the caller will hear 2 beeps. At that time, you'll have the opportunity to make your comment. With that, I will open up public comment. Mr. Fenn, if there's anybody for public comment, if you could please open that up. Mr. Stafford.
Thank you, Mayor. Caller, it is your turn for public comment. Please state your name. Do your best to keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and make your public comment. Thank you. You're gonna.
Hi, my name is Ella Fine. I'm a rising senior at Montclair High School, and I've been in Montclair Public Schools since kindergarten. In this school district, teachers pay for their own supplies and tissues. Unlike in many districts in the country, students in AP classes have to pay $90 of their own money to take AP tests. I've learned in classrooms with no AC in 100-degree weather, in hallways, and in classrooms with black mold. I know that making much needed changes in our school system and in many other lacking areas in this town takes money, but our police department has a budget of $16 million. We have the resources to do great things for our students and our citizens. Instead, the money goes to policing and criminalizing the behavior of our Black and brown youth. I have seen police officers coming into the high school and specifically targeting Black students as objects of suspicion. I've seen groups of Black students who were approached by police officers for hanging out with each other in a park. You say that you want to protect this town and make us feel safe, but to many, the police intimidate and terrorize. They don't protect. If you wanted to protect us, you would strengthen mental health resources, expand restorative justice in schools and in government. You would work to make schooling equitable for every student, eliminate the achievement gap, and ensure their curriculum isn't whitewashed. Please listen to the citizens and to the young people who are looking at you to dismantle a system steeped in white supremacy. Democratize the budget so that we can begin to redistribute resources into the community and maybe begin to become the progressive township that we pretend to be. Call it whatever you want, reallocate, divest, but please defund the Montclair Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller beginning with the number 646, it is your turn to comment. Please state your name, try to keep your comments limited to 3 minutes, and make your comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Joseph, and I've been a Montclair resident for about 3+ years now. I'm just calling to let you all know that I support defunding the police and then redistributing municipal funds to both services and programs that support our underserved communities. Also, I know that the town's rent freeze expires August 1st, and the governor's eviction moratorium doesn't apply to privately owned businesses. So I'm calling to say that I support a rent freeze extension as well. Thank you for your time. Bye.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Stafford, I'll just note that that item is on our agenda for tonight. Thank you.
Mayor, that is, I beg your pardon, there appears to be one more caller. Caller with the number beginning in 201, you are next for public comment. Please state your name, keep your comments to under 3 minutes, and make your comment. Thank you. Hello, caller? Caller beginning with the number 862-250. You're next up for public comment. Please state your name, keep your comments limited to 3 minutes, and make your comment. Beginning with the number 862-250.
Hi, this is Abraham Dickerson. Can you hear me?
We can, sir. Would you do us the service of muting the device that you're listening to the meeting on before you make your comment, because we can hear feedback?
Sure. Okay, yes, this is Abraham Dickerson. I'm with the Montclair Citizens for Equality and Fair Policing. We sent out a 9-point demand regarding police reform here in Montclair. I sent it out to everyone that I'm looking at right now. Got a response back from Mr. Russo, and I've gotten a sort of response back from Yaka Bellis. I saw you guys were on a meeting the other day, and it was labeled Town Hall. I'm not sure if that was misleading. That know what a town hall meeting is. But here's what I would like to say to some of that meeting. The fact that it seems as though there was a concerted effort to hijack the main groups that put on the protest back in June. I myself have been in front of several people in front of the council way before Floyd got killed, talking about police reform in terms of body cameras, and also have the insight to understand that we have to have empathy for our officers also. That has been addressed during our nine points. I just want to be clear to the pundits who are trying to circumvent us not having body cameras here in Montclair. Cameras are not intended solely to prevent people from committing crimes, okay? I keep hearing studies showing that these body cameras do not prevent overzealous police officers from committing crimes. Nor does the cameras prevent bank robbers from robbing banks also. Nor does cameras at schools prevent people who want to shoot schools up. That's just part of the intention of cameras. Cameras are there for evidence, which we have seen the evidence of police brutality because some officers wear cameras and because citizens are recording them on their phones. That being said, I'm hearing some language around budgets. We're not sure what we can do. See, and that's just the thing about leadership. This isn't something that just happened. We should have been looking at our budgets years ago, because it's arrogant not to have body cameras when you have other towns around you that have them. It shows that you're not interested in transparency. Also during that meeting, folks spoke about food insecurity. It's Montclair beyond policing. If you're serious about food insecurity, then join Montclair Citizens Equality in fighting for real food at our school lunch level. Get rid of these food trucks that proliferate food insecurity with processed foods. This just wasn't a protest against police brutality. This is a protest against the system, against economic disparity that keeps people from getting ahead in life. So I'm hoping that I get some positive response, maybe after we hang up, to respond to the emails that we sent out, because we have tenderized and made it easier for you elected officials to finally speak out against police brutality. This is nothing new. We're not going to stop fighting, but we do need sincere politicians that understand this is not just a fight against police brutality, but this is a fight against a system. The Montclair Beyond Policing did not talk about the unions that keep bad officers in place, because if you talk about the police unions, you have to talk about all unions. So if anyone here just got elected, is on this town council, and you think that you're going to play the middle ground, please just quit. We don't need middle ground people. We need people that's going to progress this township, that's going to progress this country. We need Black and brown people living here in this town, and they can't live here if it's not affordable. So we don't need half steps when it comes to affordability. We need money put aside for people to able to get loans. So I just want to. I'm just going to move forward. I'm a little frustrated because it seems like we're at the point now where we're looking to try to blame this on a budget. None of these problems are new. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dickerson. Caller with the number beginning in 973820. It is now your time to speak. Please state your name. Please try to keep your comments under 3 minutes.
Tony Martin.
Ms. Martin, good evening.
Good evening, Council. I'm from the Tenants Organization of Montclair. First, I'd just like to echo some of what Mr. Dickerson was saying about the way the economic pressures on our citizens are threatening our diversity. That's been the underlying principle behind the entire Tenants Organization of Montclair campaign to achieve rent control and stabilization of rents in this town, as you know, as most of you know anyway. And so I'm calling in. I see that you do have the extension of the moratorium on rent increases through the end of the year on your agenda tonight. That's just one critical thing that has to happen. But there's a lot more. And I would love for Town Attorney Karasik, if he is able, to bring us up to date on what's happening with the township defending the lawsuit brought by a small property owners group against the rent control ordinance adopted last April. Thank you.
Mr. Karasik, can you please provide an update on that matter? And as I know, it will be a question for this first item, I'm sure. Do the two relate in terms of our taking action on the agenda item if we were to tonight? Does that in any way impact the ongoing litigation? So can you please speak to both those pieces? Thank you.
Okay, let me take, can you hear me okay, first of all? Okay,
yes, we can. Thank you.
Let me take the second thing first. The rent freeze and the rent control ordinance are entirely separate, and the rent freeze doesn't impact the litigation, except that because the rent control ordinance has been frozen by the court, so to speak, or has been suspended, then the rent freeze is crucial in order to prevent rent increases during this period while the litigation is going on. So that's where they interact. Essentially, the rent freeze gives us, at least temporarily, a little breathing room in the rent control litigation. However, it's not a substitute for rent control, but it does at least address the immediate problem in the COVID emergency. As far as the litigation goes, um, as you know, the ordinance was adopted on April 7th. Litigation began April 16th, and the judge suspended or froze the ordinance, prevented it from going into effect on April 17th. Since then, we challenged, first of all, the initial injunction, which the judge denied our motion to get rid of the injunction. Then we've submitted full briefs on the issue of essentially eliminating a preliminary injunction altogether and moving forward. And those briefs were last submitted on June 12th, and the case hasn't gone anywhere since then. We have a case management conference scheduled for this Thursday morning. So after that, I'll have a better sense of where the case is moving. Now, the issue, and it's important to remember this, the issue has been, the chief challenge has been that the landlords have been unable, or claim that they were unable to conduct a referendum on whether the ordinance should become law or not. And in the meantime, while this has been going on and we've been prevented from enforcing the ordinance, the landlords have been out there collecting signatures by various means, and we've had some anecdotal reports, and Tony Martin has provided them, others provided them, that there have been issues about how that's been done. So at this point in the litigation, basically the issue is whether or not the ordinance should go into effect, or whether or not the landlords should have even more time to conduct a referendum. We're taking a strong position, frankly, that it's all over and done. The ordinance should go into effect, and if the landlords want to put it on the ballot, they can follow the law, which provides mechanisms for them to do that. So after Thursday, I might be able to give you more on the schedule. But right now, that's all I have. Any questions?
I think that's a pretty good summary. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Caller with the number beginning 646-734. It is your turn to comment. 646-734. Please state your name, keep your comments to under 3 minutes, and make your comment.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. My name is Jose Barrero. I run a condo association on Bloomfield Avenue at the William Hughes Building at 515 Bloomfield Avenue. I'm also the marketing chair for the Montclair Center bid. And I am calling to congratulate and give the mayor and the council lots of kudos for working with the Montclair Center bid and working to do street closures on Church Street and South Park Street. It was great to see people being able to walk up and down the street, take advantage of the outdoor spaces, seeing families being able to spend time outside, and also contribute to these businesses that have suffered greatly. Having said that, and I'm going to say this every time until somebody tells me to shut up. We need to do more street closures. We need to do these things that can be on a schedule and can be planned. We need to do parklets. We need to do street areas where people can eat, can buy and shop at our stores, while at the same time maintaining social distancing and wearing masks and being very and adhering to CDC rules. I also would ask the town to consider, and I know we've asked this before, to really take a look at Bloomfield Avenue and figure out how we drive more businesses, how we drive more business to those establishments. They have been decimated by this COVID pandemic, and a lot of those businesses are minority owned. A lot of those businesses hire lots of Black and brown people. I want to remind the town that we really have to drive even more business to those businesses. What I will say, and I was really thrilled to see this, is that a lot of people were using Church and South Park as a place to congregate, and then going out onto Bloomfield Avenue and going to get some ice cream and going to shop and going to have a dessert somewhere else. So I was really thrilled to see that. So again, congratulations. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. Please continue to consider street closures. Other towns have done it. Final point, please take a look at some of the towns that have done this really, really well. Places like Somerville, places like Hoboken. The town has taken their COVID response and put it online so that you've got an interactive map. You've got CDC regulations. You've got, you know, where you can have sanitizing dispensers. All of those things are going to make it easier for people to spend time in the street safely with their families, getting people from the community to come in and support our businesses. Let's not forget the small businesses. We need to be so supportive of them. They are the lifeline of our community. And as somebody who lives in the center of town, they are an important part of where I shop and where I want to support. So thank you again, but please, more street closures, and let's figure out how to do this and put it on a schedule. Hoboken has their schedule all the way through October 2020. So there's got to be a way that we can figure out how to do that as well. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Good luck to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Barrero. Mayor, there are no other callers in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Just briefly, in no particular order, I will just note we are also very excited about the fact that we've been being able to partner with the BID and other business areas to move forward, yes, with the street closings, which gets some of the attention for sure, but also thrilled to announce that we have had a tremendous number of businesses take advantage of the grant program that we put forward, which can be used for various needs because of the coronavirus. That has been an overwhelming success. We are very pleased with that piece already being utilized at a tremendous amount. Also, we do continue to have conversations to see what's needed. Each area has approached us with different needs, and that's also a good thing. I think it's not a one-size-fits-all, but certainly we will continue to look at all the pieces to see what else can be done. Of course, being mindful of our budget, we do, I can tell you, every time we get a name of a town, Mr. Stafford makes a call, takes a look, and we compare how many dollars are being spent, what's being done, to make sure that while we are doing all we can, we're also being mindful of the tax dollars and the impact that will have on our residents and our homeowner taxes. So I can tell you that right now we are not only in line, we exceed in many instances, in most instances, the dollars that we're putting forward to help our small businesses. So excited for that, but you're absolutely right. We're always looking at what else can be done, and that work will continue. Specifically in terms of promoting that, you will note that the township has picked up the cost to keep those closures occurring through September. We also have a work group working on promoting that, and I know we've got some expertise right here on the council with Mr. Jacobellis and others who are working on that, who are going to really put forward a campaign to help drive individuals to come out, shop local, be smart about it while they do it. So that work is ongoing. To the comment about the rent control, certainly we have that on the agenda. We're about to discuss that just now as we close our public comment. I do want to note, I think it's important and to the fact that as we are all rightfully so engaging in some very important conversations around where dollars go, making sure we keep our diversity, making sure we keep our town safe, what that looks like, what services are provided. It should not be lost and it cannot be overlooked that right now here in Montclair, for the first time in ever, we've been able to put forward a rent control ordinance that stops rents from being increased an unlimited amount and therefore driving people out of town and limiting our diversity. That is being challenged right now by a group of landlords who want to be able to raise rent as much as they want. So while we absolutely need to, look forward to see what changes can happen, look at all the things that people are rightfully focused on, we cannot lose sight of the fact that, right in our rear view mirror, if you will, we've got landlords looking to undo one of the pillars of affordability, of stability, of diversity that we need here in town in rent control. So I would encourage each and every person to, if you're not, become educated on that issue, realize where we are here in Montclair, understand that there is a challenge right now coming to our rent control ordinance, The goal from the other side, the landlords, is to raise it as much as they want, and we think that is unacceptable, which is why we put it in place to begin with, and why we've also put these rent freezes in effect. So I hope everyone is able to reach out to Tony and others and to work together to push back against that work and against those efforts. So I will take a moment to note that as well. And lastly, briefly, I'll just speak to the fact that yes, there over the weekend, as I can probably speak for all my colleagues, almost daily there have been Zoom calls and invitations and town halls, and readings and meetings, and all these different forums where residents have decided to reach out to share their thoughts, to share their experiences, to share their asks on what defunding might look like, what reallocation might look like, what review of policies might look like. And certainly, while I appreciate the caller's opinions, his opinions, I will just note that every group, he is right. The ones that were on, the one that at least I was on this weekend, they had slightly different thoughts and some views on where things go. But I think it is up to all of us as council people and elected representatives to listen to all the different views. It's important for everyone to understand that not everyone's views are going to be the same on this. That's why we are participating in all these Zooms and all these meetings to hear from everyone. And I can say that we are forwarding all those issues and concerns to our public safety committee. They're doing really a wonderful job in compiling all that information, seeing what's available there, seeing what's happening at the state and federal levels, listening either through direct participation in some of these meetings where possible, or when, because we have to limit the number of us that are on, or they're hearing from others and we forward information. They're putting all of this together, including all the differing opinions on what moving forward looks like. And they will be, of course, sorting through all that, making recommendations to the council and seeing where we go. But I do want to note that it is important that while everyone's opinion might not be the same as ours, we do have to listen to all of them, and we do have to make sure that we consider all of them as we move forward. So I just wanted to note that in response to the fact that yes, some of the ones we participated in have not shared certain views exactly the same as others, but I think that's not a bad thing. It's important that we hear from all perspectives. And with that, and with public comment closed, I will take us to the first ordinance on the agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please read this item? Probably the usual, Madam Clerk. I imagine you're muted, so we did not hear you. So can you please read the first item?
Can you hear me? Okay. This is Ordinance 2020, Ordinance amending Ordinance 20-08 to extend a temporary moratorium of rent increases due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. And I so move for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I believe Mr. Karasik, in his summary in an answer to one of our callers, went through some of this. I know for my colleagues who have served previously, you're well aware of this ordinance and why we put it into effect. I think, again, Mr. Karasik kind of summarized it. As you see here, this ordinance would just extend that time frame. When we first introduced this, we spoke about the fact that we wanted it for a specific amount of time and that we would review it to see where we were, where the pandemic was, how things were proceeding. Certainly, we find ourselves in it just as we were, and that is why we see it here on the agenda. But that's just a little bit of the rationale as to why we have it here again. And of course, if there are questions or comments, now is the time.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to ask a question of the clerk, maybe the manager and the attorney. Is this for a second reading to come forward in 2 weeks, or is this our extension of an existing ordinance, which is simply a date extension? Or is it considered first and second reading?
The answer is yes to both of your questions. It is an amendment of the ordinance that was passed on May 19th, but it would require a second reading. If the governing body so desires, the clerk could publish in the Star Ledger as early as Sunday the 26th, which statutorily would allow for a second reading at your next meeting on Tuesday, August 4.
We have to make a proposal for that to be done, or can that be done by consensus?
No.
It can be done if you tell me to do it.
Well, I would like you to do
I
it,
highly
but
recommend that it be done that way, because that would mean the retroactivity would only be for a few days as opposed to
Correct.
several weeks. So I recommend that we do that way, but the council does, as manager said, doesn't have to do any act on that. It can just direct the manager to do that.
Well, I suggest we do that. I guess that's a consensus we would have.
Let's just see if this passes first, but any other questions or comments on this ordinance?
If I may, Mayor.
Price Abrams?
The circumstances are not abated. We need to extend this for the reasons that are, evident to all, that, we have to provide the relief that was established for the provisional period, and we have to extend it. I think December 31st is a reasonable amount of time in light of the fact that we're still watching the arc of the COVID effects of COVID in the community. And so I think it's a very reasonable next step measure. So I don't know if Councilman Russo has already moved it, but if he has not, I move that we approve the ordinance as written.
Yeah, I did move it, and I believe he seconded it. Yes, we're good, and we're having that discussion, and from the sounds of it, I think you're supportive. So, any other council comments on the ordinance? Okay, I think we've given enough time. I don't see anybody trying to press an unmute button. So, with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Councilor Cummings? Can you hear me?
Yes, I had to unmute myself.
Okay. Councilor Hurlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo?
Yes.
Councilor Schlager? Councilor Yakabellis?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. And as Councilman Russo noted, Mr. Stafford, Mr. Krasik, and Madam Clerk, if you can please make sure you notice it as appropriate so that we can follow the time frame that was suggested.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Fan, can you unmute? I see we have Councilwoman Schlager in the, there you go. I think you just unmuted her. Would you, Councilwoman Schlager, can you speak? Are you hearing us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Would you like to, Madam Clerk, can you please let her cast her vote on the last item?
Councilor Schlager?
I don't know what was on the table.
Oh, I thought you were following. Okay, we just start doing
No.
the ordinance to extend the temporary moratorium on rent increases.
I would vote yes on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we thank our council colleague for joining us. I know she was having some technical difficulties. So Councilwoman Schlager, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Right, next, we have items from our previous meeting where we went over each. So are there any items, I would ask my colleagues, any items on the resolutions number 1 through 15, which are on the consent agenda, any items that anyone would like withheld? Please let me know. Any items that anyone would like withheld? Okay, hearing none, I am going to move in bulk resolutions 1 through 15, items 1 through 15. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Cummings?
Yes.
Councilor Hurlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo?
Yes.
Councilor Schlager?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabellis?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. The next item we have is the resolution 16, which is the bill list. Councilwoman Schlager, do you have that at your disposal? Do you need us to read it off? Councilwoman Schlager, would you like to read item number 16?
No, I'm sorry, I don't have it with me. I'm in another room.
Okay.
Would you like me to read it, Mayor?
I have it here. Thank you, Mr. Stafford. I appreciate it. Whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amounts set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct, now therefore be resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair in the County of Essex that said invoices be and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department in order of such persons, the amounts respectively and hereafter stated on the computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This is dated 7/21/2020 in the amount of $8,763,822.10, and I so move.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns on the bill list? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Counselor Cummings,
I vote yes. However, I abstain from purchase order 1906684, which is an amount for the Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation. I was vice chair of that corporation at one point, and I just feel like it's appropriate that I do not have a yes and to a relationship to an organization that I have previous and current relationship. Yes, abstain to that purchase order.
okay. Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Counselor Russo,
Yes.
Counselor Schlager,
Yes.
Counselor Yakabellis, Mayor Spiller.
Yes. All right, thank you. That concludes our items on the agenda for today, with the exception of an executive session. We do have Resolution 129, which is a resolution authorizing executive session without the public being permitted to according to NJSA 10:4-12B, and the topic for discussion is litigation. So I make the motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Mr.
Second.
Stafford and Mr. Fan, can you please into executive session and limit obviously access, and of course, Rick, if you can conclude TV 34 at this time. Should we emerge from executive session, of course, we will re-begin, but can all those things please occur?
We will do that, Mayor. We need approximately 3 to 3.5 minutes to do that technically, and we will advise as to when that's through.
Okay, sounds good. I will ask for a 3 to 3.5 minute break. We will reconvene.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to my colleagues. With that, I will ask if there are any specific comments. So let's start with Deputy Manager Scantlebury. Anything? I think you were muted, but I think you're saying no comment.
Now?
Now we can hear you, yes. All right. Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk, unmute yourself if you have something to say, please.
I'm not,
Any comment?
no comment at this time.
Thank you. I will now go to Mr. Krasik. Any comments?
Any additional? No, Mayor.
Thank you.
Stay cool.
Yeah, it's been hot out. Mr. Stafford?
Thank you, Mayor. I am sad to have to relay that as of this evening, the official reports are that the confirmed number of COVID-19 cases in Montclair is 445, and that number includes 50 individuals who did not survive the illness. While the number 50 is tragic and horrific, I will point out that the same number 50 was what I announced at our last meeting 14 days ago, which of course is somewhat promising and provides us hope. The township has launched an aggressive campaign to remind the public that Governor Phil Murphy's Executive Order number 163 requires, except in very limited circumstances, face coverings to be worn in public spaces when social distancing is not possible. The township has posted signs, sent out town-wide emails and text message blasts, posted on its website and posted on social media. Please do your best to safeguard others and to comply with the law by wearing a face covering. The township, in conjunction with the governor's office, the County of Essex, and Interfaith Urgent Care, held 3 days of COVID-19 and antibody testing last week. On Monday, July 13, 610 tests were administered. On Tuesday, July 14, 753 tests were administered. And on Wednesday, July 15, 843 tests were administered. That is just about 2,200 tests over 3 days last week. The July 15th date was added in response to the overwhelming demand on Monday and Tuesday for testing. The County of Essex also organized a satellite testing site that was held today, George Innes parking lot. While those test numbers are not yet available, I was there at multiple points speaking with county representatives, and the event was well attended by residents of the county, that is. Also, residents are reminded that the County of Essex offers drive-through nasal swab testing at Weequahic Park every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Testing hours are 9 o'clock a.m. to noon. Testing is provided free of charge to Essex County residents. No insurance is required. County residents with or without symptoms are encouraged to get tested. Appointments are required, though, and to make an appointment, visit www.essexcovid.org or call 973-324-9950. Our Township Department of Health and Human Services has partnered with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey to offer a series of virtual seminars on maintaining good physical and mental health in the time of COVID-19. The presenter is Vincent Smith, a healthcare educator with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. And at present, 3 virtual seminars are on the docket. Healthy Eating on a Budget During COVID-19 will be offered on Monday, July 27th at 1 p.m. The Power to Choose, Opioid Use and Misuse and Disposing During COVID-19 will be offered on Tuesday, August 1 at 2 p.m. And Women's Health and Fitness During COVID-19 will be offered on Wednesday, September 30th at 11 a.m. For more information or to register for these seminars, please visit our township website. All are asked to complete their 2020 census form and to encourage others to do so in our township as well. As of July 16th, the County of Essex's self-response rate was 56.6%. Our township came in higher at 68.6%. And although we see some progress in the numbers, we really do need to do better. I urge everyone to take 10 minutes out of their day to complete the required forms. One may respond by phone, by mail, or online. And for more information or to complete the census form online, visit 2020census.gov. Regarding COVID-19, for updates from the state, please visit the New Jersey COVID-19 Information Hub at covid19.nj.gov. This, of course, is a one-stop shop for information relevant to COVID-19. I'd like to point specifically within the New Jersey COVID-19 Information Hub to the state's jobs and hiring portal found at jobs.covid19.nj.gov. As of this afternoon, 53,025 jobs. That's 53,025 jobs with over 1,060 companies, different companies were posted. One seeking employment can search for jobs by industry, by location, and by other filters. General questions about COVID-19 may be posed by calling the state's Comprehensive Information and Referral Service by dialing 211. Medical questions about COVID-19 may be posed by calling the state's information line at 800-962-1253. That's 800-962-1253. These numbers are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this is incredibly important. New Jerseyans feeling the emotional and mental toll of COVID-19 can get support from a special helpline. New Jersey Mental Health Cares, our state's behavioral health information and referral service, is offering help to people dealing with anxiety and worry related to COVID-19. All New Jerseyans can call 866-202-HELP. That's 866-202-4357 for free and confidential support. This line is staffed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week by live, trained specialists. They're there to help you. You can visit the township's website's COVID-19 section for updates on township operations during the crisis. If you have not yet signed up for the township's Swift 911 alert system, you are urged to do so now to receive township updates by blast. The sign-up form can be accessed from our township website's homepage, and you can, of course, follow our township Facebook page, Montclair NJ USA, and the township Twitter feed at montclairnj.gov. And lastly, I'd like to take a moment to again offer my sincere gratitude to all of our township public health staff, our Department of Community Services personnel, as well as our public safety, information technology, Department of Utilities, Office of Emergency Management, and all other township personnel who have been working very hard for months to keep us safe, connected, and informed. I'm grateful for our employees and for their efforts. I'm appreciative of their dedication, and I continue to be a proud member of their team. That's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Now I will go, let's start with the at-larges this week. So let's start with Councilman Yacobelis.
I don't have any comment. Thank you.
You bet. Councilman Russo.
The closing of Church Street again was a great ribbon cutting and all. We had our former Montclair High School just graduated, Lucy Ziesing, who's a young lady who's going on to Syracuse University. She's very happy. She sent me a thank you note that you and Councilwoman Price Abrams, Councilman Yacobelis, myself, and manager, and a lot of others were there with the bid folks. And Lucy just thanked us for that. And I just sent Lucy the message from one business owner who didn't like what we did, trying to explain to her that not everybody's going to agree with everything, and that we've done this as a sort of first step, closing Church Street and Park. And I hope we can continue to do that. The caller we had before was emphasizing doing more on Bloomfield Avenue. I hope we can do more there. But I wanted to say again, that it was good to have a young woman who only a year ago, did a petition asking for us to close Church Street. And we've taken the first step. And I hope we can do more around town. But there are some businesses that will feel that its impact is not positive for them. So we have to work that out. The only other thing I wanted to mention again, and I've talked to several people about Mount Carmel Church. I mentioned last week that I just hate to see articles saying the church is really closed. And I would appeal to the Archdiocese, the Catholic Church in the Newark Archdiocese to please look at this. This church can be a real resource to the community. It served the Italian-American immigrant community for years. Mount Carmel on Pine Street could be a service church to numerous communities, the Hispanic, the African-American, and other communities that are in the area, as well as the old Italian families that love to see that church. And I want to thank again publicly Raphael Marzullo and his family for always advocating, and our former police chief, Tom Russo. It's just a struggle now economically with the COVID health issues and crisis we're facing to keep a church open. But I think that church on Pine Street represents a 100-year history of the Italian-American immigrants in Montclair, and it has a meaning to that neighborhood that could be somewhat useful to the whole town beyond just the Catholic Church and beyond just the Italian American community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Let's go with 4th Ward, Councilman Cummings.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'd start with the meeting we had Sunday, the Zoom call, which I think what excites me is that young adults are very active, involved in this. And also there are many groups that have a lot of things going on where they want to really have this conversation around our police. And I think it's healthy debate. And, but I will say that, I think our police department is one that I'm proud of. I know that I've done some personal interaction with my own children in which the results were beyond policing, where they were very good and treated them well. So I think that as we look at this, we have to be very diligent. And I'm proud to say that, we're going to meet with Chief Conforti Thursday to kind of start a discussion around this, because I think it's important that we keep the communication lines open between council, what we're getting from the public, and to the chief and his staff, so that we can kind of make sure that we are all communicating with one another in a manner that is befitting, that everyone knows that stakeholders and what they're saying is being heard. Another thing, a little lighter, I had a great time today speaking with students from the Montclair State Business Entrepreneurial Learning Academy. A longtime Montclair resident high school teacher, Kevin Richburg, created this program a few years back. And it's a great collaboration between Montclair High School and MSU. And basically the young people do a case study on an issue or something in town. My daughter participated about 3 years ago when they looked into the shared office space. I know they've looked in Lackawanna Plaza, and this year they're actually looking at the South End Business District. And so, so the young students, they really have they look at it and they come up with some really exciting ideas. Kind of have to walk them back to reality a bit, but I think it's just a really impressive work, and I want to commend Kevin for that initiative that he started. I told you guys I started my walking back before we signed in, and so I was by Church Street, Park Street, and the folks were out there, working out, and a bunch of ladies doing some stretching. I don't think they appreciated me taking a picture, but it was an example of the increase, activity that can occur in the streets. And so I plan on this weekend definitely getting out and about and seeing, what I think is something where we stepped up to the plate, heard what people were saying, and delivered. And so I think that's a really good thing. And then finally, I'm very pleased our pools are open. This weather, I know it's the hours that they set up are one in which they've allowed people a certain amount of time, but I think it's very consistent in that it's good to have a place to go cool off. And so, I want to commend Michelle and her staff for really, doing a good job. I really do, because that's something that's important for everybody. And as the manager said earlier, the testing down at Wally Choice Community Center, unbelievable. The lines were out to Maple Avenue and down the street. People were patient. So I guess, in the end, what I'm saying is we're doing things for everybody. And I think that's the most important part of what we do, is that we make sure we're representing the township. And I think we're off to a pretty good start, and I think as we move forward, things only get better. So I'm excited about that. And finally, I just want to make sure I thank Miss Lee and her team and Tony. You guys have been great in onboarding to get up to speed for someone like myself and everything that is required to be the servant that I hope to be. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll turn it to 3rd Ward, Councilman Price Abrams.
Thank you, Mayor Spiller. A little bit of echoing some of what my colleagues have said, but just to recast a little bit, I'm also very enthusiastic about how much community response, and a lot of it generated by young people, and not exclusively, but people, activists of all sorts, who are taking an interest in what's happening in our town. And conversation around policing, again, as long as it's respectful, I think we can learn from what people have to say, and I think we can, again, will benefit from a process and enlist our community that way. But the other thing I really wanted to talk about briefly was, again, the ribbon cutting in concert with the efforts of the bid, and the township having partnered in a certain way that really brought a win-win. And to have heard the gentleman who, Mr. Guerrero, who is a representative of the bid, as now a member serving on the bid. I know that there was a lot of process till we got to that place. And so to hear the really great success that is as a launching place for other things that we can continue to do in partnership with the business community on behalf of the whole community, and really echoing a little bit of what they said at the last meeting I did attend, having to do with Bloomfield Avenue. And sometimes they're smaller restaurants. They don't have as much sidewalk space. There's particular reasons why they may benefit in important ways from some of the other initiatives we can put forward that are in discussion. And I look forward to the right forum among us to be taking those things forward. And only because Councilor Cummings did mention about the pools. I had gotten an inquiry that I directed to the manager, and just to reiterate here for anybody listening, that those who may be who need assistance in terms of the cost of that, anything that would be our typical policy in terms of people with different means, we still have opportunities for people to participate as their means dictate. And the manager can clarify, but nonetheless, we hope people can take advantage of the offerings that we've got, the pools in particular. I thank you, and I look forward to next conversations.
Thank you. And now I will go to Second Ward, Councilwoman Schlager.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our Deputy Mayor, Mr. Hurlock.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to touch on a couple of points. First off, I'm very pleased at the progress that we have made with the various business communities in Montclair. As Mr. Mayor, as you know, you and I have been on, I don't know how many calls. We have weekly calls now, and I know Mr. Jacobellis is starting to join us on those as well. And the Church Street piece that we've all talked about is really the culmination in a very good partnership that we've all formed now. I know Ms. Johnson, Ms. Floyd, Mr. Gleason, Mr. Giordano from not just the bid, but the other business areas as well have really come together, and we're all working towards one common goal for Montclair, which is huge. And I would also encourage, obviously, business owners, please, you can reach out to us, you know where to find us. But I would also encourage you to reach out to the various heads of the organizations in Montclair for the various business districts, because there's been a lot of coordination going on. And some of the questions we received this evening actually have been addressed during those calls. We have them, as I said, they're every Monday afternoon, and we've got more things planned. Stay tuned. Definitely, we are here to support the businesses during these very trying times, and to support the town and the townspeople as well. It's really all in one. I've had many. I think it's also important for the residents to know that we've all been very, very involved and very active. While you may not necessarily see all of us on the street because of what we're all experiencing right now, we've been involved, and I can't tell you how many WebEx, Zoom, whatever you want to call them, meetings since it started, going back to March and April. I know, Mr. Mayor, you and I have done some PSAs, some public service announcements as well. We've been on panels, many of us, regarding the policing issues, and we're taking that very seriously, and we're working with the residents and the police as well. I've had several calls with the Montclair YMCA and have assisted them in many of the issues that they've been facing during the COVID crisis. And again, I just want to also reiterate Mr. Stafford's comments and thank the staff, the administration, Mr. Stafford, Mr. Scandalberry, Mr. Karasik, our great clerk, Ms. Lee, and all of the town staff who really done an amazing job, whether it's the health department and really helping us process these applications for restaurants to get what they need so they can open up outside and get back to business. Whether it's the sanitation department, which has done a phenomenal job picking up refuse, recycling, bulky waste, what have you. Thank you all for your service. Our police, our fire, our EMTs, you've all done an amazing job under very trying circumstances. So I want to thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I will just probably start where you left off, which is a big thank you to all of our staff here in the township. It is very quickly and easily forgotten that in the middle of a pandemic, so many of those services that you just described, Mr. Deputy Mayor, still continue, still able to put forward what our community needs. So a big thank you, Mr. Stafford. I know you're at the, I guess, head of that, but the individuals who work with you just done a tremendous job. So please convey our appreciation. And I know the appreciation of our community. I also want to echo just some of the things when we talk about testing. It's important to stress partnership. I think a lot of people, Councilman Cummings, Mr. Stafford noted, we've had testing, which is something that I think we're very proud of. And it's because we've been able to do it because we've been in partnership with the governor's office to get many of those done. We've been in partnership with the county to get many of those done. We're looking for ways to continue to make sure we meet the need, whatever that need is of our residents, so that we stay on top of the progress that we're making. As part of that, and kudos to everybody in this town for really helping to flatten that curve. We also know that our job is not done. As you heard here earlier, it's important that we all understand, yes, it's the law, but beyond the law, just making sure that we're keeping everyone, our families, our fellow residents safe by wearing a mask. Certainly if you're out and about, and we hope you're enjoying Montclair, but if you go indoors, make sure you're wearing a mask. If you are outdoors, including in our parks, and you cannot maintain social distancing, please make sure you wear a mask. That's important as well. So we just got to keep reminding everybody of that. We don't want to go backwards and go into a further lockdown, which is what we're all trying to avoid. So please keep doing that. I know so many have cooperated with that, and hope we can continue to do so. I will also note when we talk about the census, it is important. It's important for a lot of reasons, certainly not the least of which are the dollars that come into the township. Mr. Stafford noted our numbers. We've got to make sure, as engaged and active as we are in so many areas, we have got to respond to the census. If we want those dollars to be able to do so many things, the better our response rate, the more dollars we receive, and we've got to make sure we get those up. So my encouragement there to everybody is please make sure you participate in that process. Please encourage others to do so as well. I also want to say it was great to join so many of my council colleagues as we did have that ribbon cutting on Church Street and South Park Street. As the deputy mayor noted, lots of conversations around these pieces to get these different things to happen. As Councilman Russo noted, not everybody wants the exact same thing. That's why it is important that we ask all businesses to talk to their representative groups, because as we engage in these conversations, we're looking for the consensus opinions, the general thoughts as to what people are looking for. We understand that it's not going to work perfectly for every single person, but we're trying to do it what broadly affects the most in a positive way. So please continue to have those conversations. But it was nice to see everyone out there. Wonderful setup that the bid helped to do, and we're really proud of the fact that we've put forward the dollars to keep that going through September. So exciting there, and there's always more that we are looking at, and that will continue. So important there as well. And with that, I will just echo what everybody has said, that even as we have record heat, as we've been running through the last few days, and you're at the pools or you're out, make sure you do it safely. Make sure you enjoy yourself, yes, but we want to make sure we always are mindful that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we need to do all of our activities in a way that don't put us at risk or others. So thank you again. Thank you for what you do at home. Thank you for what you do to help your fellow residents. Mr. Stafford, a final thank you to staff again. And I thank all my colleagues for the work that you are all doing. Until the next Zoom, which is probably tomorrow, I'll see you all then. But good to see everybody, and have a good night to everyone at home as well. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Mr. Mayor,
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Is
stay well.
there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Good night.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Right.